Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Woo! Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of In the Mind of Dame. What is good, y'all? What is good? What is good? Hope everybody's had a great start to the new year. It's a good year so far, man. 2026, man. Hope everybody had a safe New Year's, man. Hopefully you spent it with your loved ones, your significant other, brought in the new year the right way. And yeah, man, welcome back to the second episode of the new year. I dropped one last week straight on New Year's Day. So, if you haven't checked that one in, check that out. Check that one out. We were just talking about some cool stuff, man. Got a little bit of football talk in there, things we're looking forward to in 2026. So, I feel like that was a good episode. It was fun to do and everything like that. And same thing for this one, man. I got a good amount of topics for us to get through, man. But just a quick little recap, quick check in, man. What have I been doing? What have I been up to since last week? Um, I ain't gonna lie, I've been locked in, bruh. I've been locked in crazy. I've been super duper locked in. I feel pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny, right? Like, I have this conspiracy theory I said the other day where I was like, I feel like our cell phones are listening to us because I could say shit to like my coworker or to a friend, and I might not even have done much on my phone regarding to a specific topic, but it's like I'll talk about it, and then the next thing you know, I just start seeing it everywhere, right? So for example, right, like I was reading this book, it's called Atomic Habits. I think I've talked about this book before, but long story short, I started reading this book. I finished it, but it's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the book was basically about how, to accomplish your goals, it's best to develop habits. And he was giving out like kind of research information of how to like build a really good system for accomplishing your habits every single day, and making sure that you're making, progress into whatever your goals are. So really implementing that into my life, I ain't gonna lie, it's really worked. Like I've really been feeling like every day I've been getting like a little bit better each day, whether it's with just like my overall health. Like I've been working out like 4 or 5 times a week. Kind of since I started reading the book, I've been in the gym like 4 or 5 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Tracking my progress on Instagram, making sure I like just doing small stuff. You know what I'm saying? Potting. I have like it's set schedule on Wednesdays for when I record, or at least in maybe when there's parts of my day that I can record in, and just making sure like I just continue to do those habits. So for me, a lot of the stuff I've been trying to do every day, whether it's meditating, I've been waking up a lot earlier. Like I'm waking up around like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, depending on what time my shift start. And I've been feeling good, bro. I've been feeling good. It just feels good to, when you're faced with a decision of like, all right, do I want to go home and chill, or am I going to go to the gym? And I choose the gym. It's a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? So to constantly be making these decisions, whether it's me studying for my certification, I've been making that decision more where it's like, all right, I just got off work. I'm a little tired, but here's a part of my day that I kind of already blocked off for it. So the decision really just be, we just got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really waiting on no motivation. It's just a built-in thing in my routine now that I've been really implementing, and shit been looking different, bro. Like maybe I haven't seen direct results from it. Like, yeah, I've been in the gym 4 or 5 times this week. I ain't saying I'm looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying it just feel good. Like I just feel better. You know what I'm saying? I just feel better. So since then, I kind of already feel like with New Year's, it wasn't like I was kind of kicking it in there. I feel like I was already prepping for it beforehand, and it feels good to do, bro. It feels good. I feel good, man. So yeah, man. I just feel like this is gonna be a good year. Like I really do feel a lot more hopeful about this year. And then since then, day of New Year's, after I woke up and everything, got the episode posted, or whatever. I took myself out, man. I took myself out on a little solo date. Went to the Air and Space Museum in DC or whatever. Walked around it. I think that was like maybe like my second time being there in my life. I hadn't really saw. I don't really care for museums like that because it feels like there's so much shit to kind of get through, and then the descriptions right next to the displays, bro, them joints be long as hell. So I'd be like, man, I ain't really trying to read. I'm just trying to look at cool shit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It was something about that day where I'm like, screw it, bro. Like I'd be reading books a lot more and everything. So I was like, screw it, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and actually read the descriptions. And I learned a lot, bro. I ain't even gonna sit here and hold you. Like, I learned a lot, you know what I'm saying, from being there and just learning about all these different, you know, all these different, you know, space projects that America has put in and other countries have put in to learn more about the moon or learn about all these other planets and if there's other life available elsewhere and like what do the future plans look like. You know, I seen a whole like section of it for like sustainability, bro. And I learned a lot about how, you know what I'm saying, greenhouse gases, you know, is causing the climate change and, you know, what can we do better to kind of, you know, get us back right. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I just learned a lot, bro. I just learned a lot. You know, there was a huge, just, you know, a huge section off for like the Wright brothers. So I was like learning about their background and everything. So that was cool. And then I ended up taking the metro there, maybe like maybe two stops over. And I went to Chinatown. And I just went to like a bar I kind of like going to when I'm out there in the city, like especially if I'm around like Gallery Place in Chinatown. It's a spot, I'm gonna just name it, whatever. It's called Jackpot, you know what I'm saying? So I went there. I think the college football playoffs was on. I think it was Alabama versus Indiana. So was sitting there watching that, man, had a cool little drink or two. And then yeah, and I was talking to the bartender, man, because I was just talking to him, you know, had a cool conversation with him just about stuff. And then it was that, and that was that for this week. Like I said, I've been already in the gym, just locked in on that. You know, NFL playoffs was crazy. We gonna talk about that. And then yesterday I went hooping for the first time in a good couple months. It's been a minute since I really played basketball, especially against people. I feel like I haven't really played a good amount of like competitive basketball, as you would call it, in a minute. So I went yesterday. Surprisingly, there was people there to actually hoop with. So that was cool, man. I ain't gonna lie, I played a lot better than what I thought I would for a nigga that don't hoop like that. You know what I'm saying? I was moving Ja all right. You know what I'm saying? I was Ja moving all right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I was talking about this with my man today. I was like, bro, when I hoop now, bro, I don't really be trying to play with the YNs, bro. I ain't even gonna sit here and hold you because basketball just brings out the worst in people, bro. Like they just become complete assholes when you become on the court. And I'm older now. Like I know I'm only 27, but they're just certain shit I'm just too old for. And I'm like, if I'm playing basketball and it's getting toxic and niggas is arguing after every call and just talking crazy on the court, I would just get my shit, pack up and leave middle of the game. I would just be like, yo, somebody take my spot. I would just leave because I'm not dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just cannot fade, bro. I've outgrown the thinking this is the NBA finals. I'm just trying to just play. You know what I'm saying? All I'm trying to do is just play the game, bro. Just have a good time, you know, get some cardio in, get some shots up and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? So when I play, I be playing with OGs, bro. I ain't gonna sit here and hold you. Like I don't play against these college players, niggas no more, bro. I don't got the mindset to just be want to be competitive on 10 the whole time and, you know, making sure a nigga don't try to dunk on me or some shit. Nah, I'm cool, bro. Like, I'll play with the OGs, bro. All they want to do is shoot, you know, fake like they playing a little defense. That shit cool with me. Shit, that shit cool with me. So I was playing with hooping with them, man. That joint was all right. You know what I'm saying? It felt good. I'm sore as hell though. I'm sore as hell. You know what I'm saying? I don't play basketball for a minute, and I gotta start dealing with the physical contact, and I haven't really took a bump like that in a minute. Oh man, like I'm feeling it. You know what I'm saying? But it was good runs. Can't complain too much. But that's it for this past week. This week coming up, I've been thinking about doing some new stuff. Like I was thinking about like kind of getting on the TikTok joint a little bit because I posted like a little kind of vlog, quote unquote, on TikTok of when I went to the Air Space Museum, chilling in DC, whatever. And it did all right. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care about the views and shit. For me, that was just something I wanted to do. Kind of just get out the house, record something, be creative. So that was kind of like my first spot at it. I thought it would be, though I like the way it turned out. Not really, but for me, it's just the experience of posting the content and getting better at recording this shit. So I tried it. It turned out all right. You know what I'm saying? Could have been better, sure. But, you know, that's just one thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to get as many reps as possible. So I've been thinking about for this upcoming week, kind of just getting on TikTok a little bit more, kind of just seeing, like, I've been trying to be more, like, one thing I kind of didn't mention last week but I wanted to do more this year is kind of be more intentional with just social media in general, like not kind of being on there doom scrolling, but if I'm going to be on there, like let's actually be doing something. So I've been kind of thinking like, you know what, like if I'm gonna get into this kind of content bag and try to get these reps up, I'm gonna just kind of just try to make whatever I can and just get used to the experience of doing it. So my TikTok is the same as my Instagram. It's that xboyxdame. It might just be whatever. I'll just post it on Instagram or something for y'all to see, or in the episode description. But I'm gonna try to get some reps in on there. I have some ideas of content I want to do on there. Not all of it's gonna have to be like recorded. Like some of it might be like the little like photos with the words over top of it or whatever. But I might do a couple of those over there, see how it go. I'm just trying shit. Like I said, for me, all of this is just reps and whatever, and just trying to just be creative and shit. So we're gonna see. But I got a good amount of topics for us today, bruh. So let's get started, bruh. Sorry if that was long-winded. But let's get to business. First topic I want to talk about, bruh. This was all over my timeline. I seen a lot of podcasts talking about it. My man hit me this morning. Shout out Justin. It was like, yo, you gotta talk about this. So I'm gonna talk about it. So first topic we got is Adin Ross, Doechii, and Glasses Malone. If you're not familiar with the situation, here's the situation. Adin Ross is pretty disrespectful when it comes to conversations regarding black women, especially them in media or entertainment. So Doechii dropped a new song with SZA. It's a really good song. I think you guys should definitely check it out. And she sent some shots at him. Some lyrics was sent towards his way about basically, talking about how, you sucking all these rappers' dick from the back, but what happens when the it girl is black? You know what I'm saying? And it was pretty much a direct response to Adin Ross. And Glasses Malone, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's a California rapper. He does content now out there. He covers a lot of hip hop. And he called Adin out and said basically like, hey, you calling her a bitch and all that shit that you be doing online, that shit kind of stops now. And if it continues to happen, this dude is a gang member. So he was like, hey, if it continues to happen, bro, like, me and the guys, we're going to start doing something about it. And, it kind of just sparked this whole thing regarding Adin and his response to it, in which he was kind of whatever. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. But, this situation to me is very interesting, and it's interesting because of the fact that I just think this is just where we are right now. So to kind of just start off, I want to just start off with Adin himself, because to me, what I think Adin is I never found his content entertaining personally. Like when I first found Adin Ross's content and I was kind of seeing it or whatever, he was just some kind of white dude who was streaming who just did a bunch of gay shit. You know what I'm saying? He was just one of those dudes where I just feel like they really aren't naturally funny, so they have to be like kind of outlandish and stupid to be funny. But I understood that there was a market for it. I understand that people find it entertaining and funny, and other content creators worked with him or whatever. So it was whatever. And then it just feels like since then, well, I ain't gonna say it feels like, since then he has become super popular. He's done numerous streams with rappers, and people kind of go up there, and it's a good look for them. Well, it was, but they kind of it was a look for them. They could go on there if they just dropped an album. You could go up there and talk about it, do a stream with them, all the stuff like that. And then he just kept doing more stuff. He had a stream with Trump. He's doing these things where, now he's getting online and saying, yeah, fuck Meg, fuck all these women and shit like that. They're dumb bitches and all this shit like that. And the one thing I would say is just that right now I think we are in, like, I was never big on cancel culture. Like that was never really something that like interests me or something I really cared about. I was just like case by case basis. Sometimes people can overreact and think that this person doesn't deserve to work anymore, or this person doesn't deserve to work at this ESPN job because of A, B, C, and D. Like there was a bunch of situations like that where I feel like there was some that were valid and some where it was like, okay, maybe we're going a little too far, or they were really searching for it a lot more. But I think what we're seeing now is an era where now this is what it looks like when there's no consequences for being a racist on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just seeing it. It's the most profitable time to be disrespectful to any minority group of people. And it comes with money. Like, think about it. I remember there was this white woman. She went on Twitter one day, recorded a video, and she said nigga, and we probably used the ER one time too, and whatever in the video, and she garnered a whole audience, like a legitimate audience that grew to love her and watch her just because she said nigga and she was white. And it was just like, for them, it was like, but I support her, girl. I support that girl. She's standing on 10 toes and standing on her business. But what really starts to happen is that for a lot of them, all of them can't really do it well because they're not smart. They're not intelligent. So they just kind of only can cherry pick the right wing Republican handbook of why this is not racist or why they should be allowed to do it. But it never comes at any logical sense. It just feels like you only did it for clout, attention, and money. And once that kind of curtain gets pulled back and you're exposed for it, and they can't really champion you as somebody who's brave and standing up for what is Christian and what is right, is like, okay, well, we really have nothing to support anymore because you're just a person just doing this shit, right? Like, we appreciate the support, but there's really nothing to get behind because we have nothing to champion you for. And Adin Ross right now in his situation, he kind of has that, right? Like, I feel like with him, I feel like his distaste with Doechii, just her individually, isn't really stemming from, I think, a lack of him thinking that she's A, B, C, and D, and all those words that he calls her, stupid, a bitch, and whatever, in an industry plant, whatever. A lot of it just stems from the fact that he fucks with Drake and she's part of TDE, so she's guilty by default. And yeah, I just think that that's fucked up. And I think for him to kind of take advantage of that situation where he knows that it will garner at least not as negative of attention, because there's people that feel that way about her due to the Drake and Kendrick situation, but also the fact that that you can kind of say this shit about a black woman and it's not as held to the fire as much as it should be. And the fact that people will grow to love you more because of it. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, so for me, when Glasses Malone kind of says, hey, yo, we really will step behind this shit, I kind of respect it. And I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I don't think that Glasses Malone wouldn't be wrong if he did it, because a lot of people get online, and people of Adin Ross's stature and status or whatever, they get online and it feels like they're doing this thing for whatever reason that they're doing it, because I don't really think Adin Ross is smart enough to really kind of hold any real racist point of view. He can say the dumb shit all he wants, but to me, Adin Ross doesn't come off as a guy that has any socio-historical context to really anything. He's just doing it because it just garners attention, and it can get him money, and he knows that there's an audience of people that will support him because he's saying this racist bullshit. But I don't really feel like that's really a view that he really holds. But what happens is that these people that do this stuff like that, who kind of come out and say all this really hurtful and racist and harmful and discriminatory shit, even for them, if they don't really understand the damage it does, what happens is that because they are so big on their platform, you spilling that type of rhetoric is going to have real life consequences. And the problem is that these people, like in Adin Ross, don't have they don't face the consequences of that. They don't ever get to see the real life consequences of what can happen when you start spilling this rhetoric and you have impressionable people watching this content saying, oh wow, really, that is how black people are, or it's, whoop, 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 whoop. All this shit happens. So for me, I like the fact that Glasses Malone put a little bit of a fire under him that says, hey, if this finna start having real consequences for us, or if I don't like those things that you saying, and because you're not facing real consequences to teach you a lesson, you need to get that, I'm not mad at it no more, because people get harmed and shit like this. Doechii doesn't deserve this, and the real life people who are going to be persuaded by his rhetoric and shit like that, they don't deserve it either. And I think sometimes it is we need to start punching niggas in the face. I ain't gonna keep fronting my words no more. Some people need their ass whooped because they feel like they're almighty and everything like that, and they never got punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? Because when all that stuff happened, what did Adin Ross do? He went right to the common right wing, uh, whatever you want to call them, MAGA kind of responses where, oh my gosh, you're threatening me with gang violence, and I'm just letting you know I have police presence near me. Like, just being a complete bitch. And I feel like for me, fuck him. Like, I really don't care about Adin Ross. I never thought he was that cool, that entertaining, that funny anyway. And you know what? If this is the position he's going to take, the real consequences he needs to feel, which I don't really think is going to be much, just because there's just going to be a market of people that will always fuck with him regardless of how lame he looks for doing this shit. But let him have to just cater to them people. Rappers shouldn't go up there. Black people shouldn't go up there and go do a stream with him just because you want to get your album sales up, or this would be a look for you. He obviously don't care about us. It's pretty obvious and evident that he was somebody who benefited from the culture, and now when the benefit ain't as good no more, or he wants to take a different stance on something, now it's fuck everything else. And I feel like, you know what, if we have any shot of taking him down from getting him out of position of power or status or whatever, now would be the time to say we're not watching his streams no more. We're not going to be, rappers shouldn't be going up there doing a stream with him. Let him feel the consequences of that shit, because that's fucked up and lame. And I think, we gotta stop being so open to, oh well, it helps my pockets out, even though I know we shouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we gotta stand for something. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my whole point, is sometimes we gotta stand for something. It's a little easier for me because I never fucked with bruh. But come on now, like, I think we can kind of say we don't need this nigga in the culture no more. We can live without Adin Ross. I think we can really kind of get to that point. And I'm happy. And if one thing I have to respect, bruh, even with Doechii, I love the fact she responded with music. You know what I'm saying? Respond the way at what you do best, because they can't deny talent for but so much. They never liked hip hop to begin with. They just want to comment on some shit they don't know. But for people that love hip hop, you responded and you rapped well and you dropped a good song, and that's how you do this shit. And also, I gotta start being more open about this shit, because I grew up not hating him, but I am starting to get to that point. It's fuck academics too. I think academics is becoming another version of justice. I think being so critical of a culture that you benefited from, but then kind of spewing a lot of hate that a lot of people don't agree with, and then kind of hiding because that there's no consequences for whatever you do and or say, no matter how much harm is done. And there's a lot of content creators we can go through that are like this, who I think get a platform for being hateful or just being kind of just throwing the culture under the bus and everything like that, and then being like, hey y'all, like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And it's like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? And academics is kind of getting to that point where it just feels like there's not much of a respect for the blackness that's in it no more. It just feels like I can kind of get it and get in when it's cool, but I also know if I start shooting at them over there, nobody's gonna bat an eye, because there's gonna be people that like that I'm doing that and will send me some bread. That's just dumb to me. You know what I'm saying? And those are the worst type of people to me. I think those are the worst type of people that can sell out or do all this stuff and at least like and then not really believe it. They're just doing it for their own personal gain and saying fuck this whole group of people. Those are the worst type of people to me. And Adin Ross has kind of thrown himself in that conversation for me. So fuck him. Nobody should go up there no more. I know I will never watch another stream of his ever again. I don't give a fuck who up there. You know what I'm saying? And fuck every rapper that go up there and want to go sit with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really how we should be moving and stepping about this shit, because fuck that. You know what I'm saying? This dude's a clear racist. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to keep saying that we should hear a racist point of view. No. Like, He made his bed. Now he got to lie in it. Now go entertain the MAGA niggas. Then go do a stream with Nick Fuentes. But you know what I'm saying? That's it though. Go hang out with them. Go do streams with them and shit. But not over here, bruh. No more. No more. No more. No more. All right. Next topic we got on the list. We gonna talk about some college sports. College sports. And it's about a player. His name is James Nnaji. He recently just registered and now he's on the Baylor men basketball team. But this guy was drafted in the NBA in the second round of 2023. And he's from overseas. He's played in summer league, but he's never played in the NBA regular season game. He's never played American college sports. So this guy has 4 years of eligibility, and Baylor just put him on the team. Now, this story to me is so crazy when I read it because I'm like, damn, this is really where college sports is at now. And I kind of have so much of a different take on NIL and schools being able to pay players directly, because now I just feel like I've opened like a third eye to the whole situation that I'm going to try to break down. Because to me, the situation with James Nnaji, it's like I really don't. I think it's a big deal, but there's so much of a bigger conversation here that I feel like has to be had. That James Nnaji is like a small fraction of it, because I was for players getting paid. Like I kind of, when I first started college, I really don't think it mattered to me because I understood the value of getting a free education, and I underestimated the fact that, you know, these players do bring these colleges a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like they bring colleges a lot of money, and they're not getting paid for it. And I used to kind of be a little like, man, but y'all not paying as much as I'm paying in tuition. So, you know, fuck is y'all complaining for? But I understood it a lot more now. I understood it growing up a lot more and recognizing, oh, okay, well, yeah, they should be getting paid something. You know what I mean? And then hearing the stories of Reggie Bush and Johnny Manziel and just the craziness that was, it was like, okay, I can start seeing why players should want to get paid and why they should get paid, right? So my whole overarching point is, with everything going on, right? It all started with name, image, and likeness, right? You should be able to go do a Gatorade commercial and get paid for it. If you're posting TikToks and you're making money from TikTok, cool, you should get paid for it. But what happened is once they opened the floodgates for players to get paid, and now they can get paid directly from the school, what kind of just happened is that it kind of started letting colleges operate way less for the betterment of the kids, more than it is becoming a benefit for the school itself. Follow along with me. I'm trying to word this as best as I can. But college to me, now that I'm getting older and after seeing this whole college thing and the players getting paid from the school and can make money and all this stuff like that, one thing I think I'm starting to see a lot more now is college is just a part of a bigger system. You have to pay money to go to a school. The school is going to give you a piece of paper that basically at face value just says, hey, you have the skills necessary to work a job in this specific field, whatever field you're in, and you can make X amount of money. And guess what? We're probably going to need you to pay back student loans or whatever. So we're going to make money off of that too for you to have this piece of paper. You're going to make money in the workforce and you're going to give it right back to us. So either way, somehow, some way, college has become somewhat of a integral part into the American system. And now when they have made so much money from players in college athletics, think about how much money Ohio State football has made, Alabama has made. Think about how much money, I'll just use UMD for example, UMD men's basketball, Duke, North Carolina. These programs have made billions of dollars. And once they noticed that players can get paid, it really wasn't just for the betterment of the player for them to get paid. What it was has just become, oh shit, we can kind of construct any team we want to be able to get us a national championship, and we don't have to have an overwhelmingly great football program that gets kids to the next level, or they're getting a high quality education here, and now they just so happen to play sports. It's now, oh shit, we can pay a player from wherever part of the country and say, hey, guess what? I'll give you $10 million. You come to my school and you hoop. That's it. And with no rules, no regulation over it, it just becomes a mess. It becomes a mess like what we're seeing, where teams are getting so desperate, like, oh shit, all I gotta do, I can go get an overseas dude, bring him to America, and he could play for my school, and I got him money, and he will probably do it because he's never played American college basketball. There were G League players who, because they've never played an official NBA game, had college eligibility, and is thinking to themselves, well, I can go to college and go hoop for this school, and I'm going to make millions of dollars. Why the fuck? Like, I'm cool. I can just go back to college and hoop. And if I make it back, I make it back to the league. You know what I'm saying? And that is such a dangerous precedent, because college sports has just become professional now. It's become professional now. Now when kids are picking schools, I don't really feel like kids are picking schools based off of what is their best case scenario for their life. They're picking a school based off of, well, how much money you finna slide me. That's nuts. And I feel like what is happening is colleges are saying, yup, that's fine. We don't care about what happens for him after college. We just need him now to bring us a championship. Because are these kids going to school and taking high level classes? No. If you're going to pay him millions of dollars, you're going to say you're not going to do much homework. You're going to take an easy ass major, and you good, and you going to hoop for this money because we want championships now. That's going to be the main focus on these kids. And then you're handing these kids millions of dollars. They don't know what to do with that money. So they're not even having the life skills be taught to them, because the school don't really care that, oh, we just gave him $1 million or whatever, and he's never seen or touched this amount of money before. He doesn't know how to invest this money or how to really spend it. What is he going to go do? He's going to buy dumb shit. But we don't really give a fuck about that because we need the nigga to hoop. That's nuts. You get what I'm saying? So with it becoming like that, colleges are just not as caring about the kid anymore. These programs are not succeeding these kids to help them get to the league. If they get to the league, great, but we need him to play now and deliver championships. Like I think I read something the other day where they said Rick Pitino isn't even recruiting high school players anymore. He's just hitting the transfer portal, and he got a plethora of cash. So fuck it, I can just go get me an experienced dude who I know is nice. I don't gotta train him and prep him. He come ready to play like it's fucking free agency or some shit. And these are college kids. And I just feel like for the kids, it doesn't get better for them. Because yes, they're getting money, but at what cost? Because they'll give you the $3 million now, but what if you don't walk across the stage with a degree that's worth anything? What are you going to do? You're going to blow the money, and then you're going to be like, oh shit, how am I going to get a job in the workforce because I don't really have many skills, or I got a bullshit degree because they put me in these easy ass classes and shit. Because let's be real here, bro. I can't imagine me being a computer science student at UMD and trying to play fucking D1 basketball and having practice. There's no way. I can't even imagine that. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really help the kids for the most part, because they're just employees, and they're going to treat them just like employees. They're not going to look out for their best interest for their life. They're going to look out for the bottom line, which is we need a championship. And I thought with the coaches it was getting bad, but with the players too. So that's one thing. And I think not just even the players having the ability to make that much money, and now they don't have the knowledge necessary to be able to handle that much money. I start to think about how much of an investment sports is for kids now, where I'm like, is sports going to be more or less fun for kids now that they are able to make money in college? And if I had to take a guess, my answer is they're going to be less happy, bro, because I feel like I see it early now. Like if you have a kid and you feel like he can grow up to be 6'3", and somebody says, hey, yo, he pretty decent at basketball. Parents, especially because now they're younger, they're willing to make this investment into their kid, especially when it comes to athletics, very early. They're more than willing to say, hey, if I got to spend money on an expensive ass AAU program for you and fly you across the country and have you have personal trainers and a nutritionist so that you can get to the NBA, they're making that investment a lot more. And I think you're starting to see it a lot more now because look at the NBA. A lot of the NBA players are the kids of what? Former basketball players or former athletes. They're just able to afford them that luxury to get started early. And parents, even if they don't have money, are more than willing to do it now if they feel like their kid got enough talent. But what happens is that this kid is going to go through so much rigorous training in these extensive routines and trainings and all this stuff like that. They're not really getting a chance to enjoy the game for the pure sport of just doing something athletic and fun. They're already being groomed to be these NFL players or NBA players at such a young age. And I just feel like with them being able to make money in college, that process of investing in your kid is going to start earlier because the opportunity for them to make money starts earlier now too. So for some parents, they're like, fuck it, I don't even need you to get to the NBA. I just got to get you to college. So I got to put you in this shit when you 5-6 years old so that when you start being 16, 17, okay, bet we can start looking at $1 million contracts when you're 18 years old. And I think you're going to start to see college kids, once they get older and have been going through that process since they were younger, they're going to come out and just be depressed because they're like, I really didn't get a chance to do anything else except for play basketball or play football. I mean, I liked it, but I had the responsibility of my whole family, my whole lineage changing based off of me making millions of dollars in college. I did, like, the kid doesn't get a chance to choose anything else. You put them in so early, and sometimes some parents, I ain't gonna hold you, they put this immense amount of pressure on their kid to change the family and everything like that. But he didn't ask to do that, and that responsibility shouldn't be on the kid for them to do that. They should just be allowed to play ball, and if it gets them somewhere, cool. Or allowed to pivot. What if the nigga don't want to hoop? What if the nigga want to make art? We're kind of robbing the younger kids who happen to be good at athletics of that early, and we're making these business decisions for them way earlier without them getting a chance to make any decision. The kid don't know what he wants, but these parents are going to start putting pressure on the kids because the money can be made in college now. It just starts that process way earlier. So I just feel like for me, like this whole thing, I wish there has to be more rules and regulations behind it, because what's going to happen is just that it's just going to turn into, there's a couple of people who benefit from it, but really majority of the people a part of the system are going to be fucked up. They finna be fucked up. And I just don't think that's what we should want. You know what I'm saying? We should want everybody a chance to make money, but we also should allow an opportunity that is protecting kids. Maybe they should be taking a personal finance class while they in college. Yo, if you making over $1 million, yo, you got a personal finance course as part of your courses. There got to be something there to protect the kids. It can't just be, well, they make money now, so now everything we doing has to align with the bottom line of making money and winning championships. At some point, we got to be protecting these athletes, because what's starting to happen is they're not student athletes. They're athletes who have to be students to fit an obligation, to meet an obligation. And I just think that sets a really, really dangerous precedent for college sports. So that's my thoughts on that one. Let me know what y'all thought about that, what y'all think about this crazy story. All right, next topic we got is, I wanted to talk about this. So last week I did my most anticipated albums of 2026. So top of the list was A$AP Rocky. I think that's the first name I mentioned last week. So my man's dropped a new single, bro. It's called Punk Rocky. And I feel like there's some mixed reviews going on. It's a different sound for him. If you guys haven't heard it, I'd suggest you go check it out. But it's kind of like this indie rock type of sound. Like if you heard Sundress from him, it sounds kind of in the same ballpark. And I ain't gonna sit here and lie, man. I love that song. It's good. I feel like this kind of, I don't want to say it has me hyped about the A$AP Rocky album because I'm already just genuinely hyped for him because I'm just a fan of his. But I feel like, after kind of watching some reactions for it, it seemed like people, I guess we kind of are expecting him to have a different type of genre going into, like, it might be just a wild bunch of different genres and stuff like that. And I think it just had me thinking, like, people didn't like Testing. I don't know why people didn't like Testing because I love Testing, but I would say the single definitely has me very curious of what this album could be, because I still am relatively nervous just because it's like, yeah, you might have did this one sound and it might be kind of heat on this record, but there's a lot of sounds you might end up doing and this can go kind of wrong. You know what I'm saying? I've heard artists try new shit and it just goes completely left and you're like, damn, like I give you kudos for trying something new, but damn, you probably were better off doing this. And there's a couple artists I think of like that where I feel like they try something new and I'm like, ooh, you should have just stayed in your bag. So A$AP Rocky, the new single for me, just like kind of like a little update of how I'm feeling. It definitely is a sign in the right direction for sure. I still am a little weary of it just because I'm like, this album, I don't know what version of the album of this Don't Be Dumb thing we're going to get. Like how many, like what version of it is. Because I feel like this album has changed so many times based on when it was supposed to be released or not, that I just don't know what it is we're getting on January 16th. But I am somewhat looking forward to it though, because I trust Rocky, and 7 years is a long time with no album from him. But I do feel like whatever I like about Rocky, whether it's certain flows he could use or the production, or I think even when he does kind of genre switch a little bit, it don't be sounding as bad. I feel like he be kind of sounding well. Like it don't sound like I don't think he can sing, but he can carry a note decent enough to do like a singing record. So that's kind of just a little update. I suggest you guys check it out because I've been cranking that song kind of heavy. And one more music topic, well, two more technically, but one more joint. I was thinking the other day, right? Because I started cranking Travis a little bit more. Like I've been trying to be more intentional with what music I'm listening to based on mood or where I'm at and whatnot. And so I was like, damn, man, I haven't spun Rodeo in a minute. And I spun that joint and I was like, man, this shit is so good. So I went back and I'm like, you know what? People be trying to put this album like in the same conversation as Astroworld. And I'm like, let me re-listen to Astroworld. And Astroworld is heat, bruh. I ain't saying it's not. But I've been on the Rodeo is Travis Scott's best album for a minute now. Even after Astroworld came out and even after sitting with it a lot more. Yeah, bro, Rodeo is Travis Scott's best work. I try to make it a little verses and everything like that. And to me, it just wasn't like much of a conversation for me. I don't want to be disrespectful and say it wasn't much of a conversation. Let me rephrase that. But for me, it was clear as day. Rodeo is so fucking good, bro. Like, me and my man's ex, we talked about it. And I remember when that album came out, my senior year of high school, bro. And I was early to the Travis Scott fan club. Like, I had already knew a bro before Rodeo. And it took me a little minute to kind of get to Rodeo because like I was new to listening to like full blown albums and keeping up with music and everything like that. But I kept remembering hearing like people who I never knew listened to Travis Scott be like, yo, that album is fire. So I'm like, man, I hope this shit really is fire. Cause sometimes people be, getting to that herd group think shit. And I'm like, man, I hope people ain't just saying this just because he the next name up or whatever. And now they just trying to meet ride. Bro, I would never forget my first listen to Rodeo and just being in like complete and utter shock of how good it is. And me and my man Xavier, bro, we always say when we listen to that joint, it's like Travis Scott threw whatever at the wall that he wanted to kind of try, and all of them hit. Like there's so many different sounds of it. It's dark, but yeah, it's kind of a lot of different sounds on there. But somehow, some way, it still kind of flows through pretty well through the album. and everything like that, I feel like it just fit his aesthetic perfectly. Like it was like, this is Travis Scott at doing what he does best, the best. You know what I'm saying? The best he could do it. There's so many good songs on there, bro. On My Dead Side, 90210, Maria I'm Drunk, Nightcrawler, Apple Pie. Like, there's so many good records on there that I think, even for me, like, he got, for me, I think 90210 was like his best song ever. You know what I'm saying? But when I start thinking of top 10 Travis Scott songs, there might be like a good amount that's on Rodeo, bro. That shit is so good. And I feel like when I listen to Astroworld now, listen to it with a different ear, I just feel like it just sounds more expensive. It sounds like a bigger project in terms of the marketability of it, of okay, like how much money goes into the production. But to me, I just feel like the darkness of Rodeo, you know, T.I.'s like narration through the joint, and like the story is kind of telling low key. Like you're just hearing the story of an upcoming Travis, just becoming who he is today. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, who he was then. You know what I'm saying? And just his journey and everything like that. I thought that shit was fire. And then you mix in just the rager of Travis Scott of just partying, drugs, alcohol, you name it, bro. It was just so dope that I'm like, yo, Rodeo really is one of them ones. I think it's a classic. I think Astroworld is a classic as well. But to me, it's almost like Rodeo and Astroworld is like the Carter 2 versus Carter 3 conversation for me. It's like Carter 2 will always and forever be my favorite Lil Wayne album, because what Lil Wayne was good at and what his strengths are, it's like Carter 2 was like him doing it at his best. Whereas Carter 3 is like the biggest because it has the biggest records. It has his biggest songs to date. But to me, when I listen to Carter 2, I'm like, yo, this nigga is rapping at a different level, bro. Like better than what he was rapping on Carter 3, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But the hits are on Carter 3, so people love it a lot more. But yeah, so I'm going to just keep my opinion on that. It's stamped. Rodeo is better than Astroworld. That is my stamped opinion. I ain't changing it. All right. So next, let's get to some NFL, bro. First, let me talk about these Pittsburgh Steelers, bro. I gotta get this off. First off, what a game. What a game. What a game. What a game. I really was not as invested into the game prior to going into it as I would be most times, just because I feel like the emotional investment I had into the game is relatively low, because I felt like for me it was a win-win. Like I hate to be one of those fans that where you kind of quote unquote root against your team, and I wouldn't say I was rooting against them. I just felt like for me I didn't see this like road of despair if we didn't make the playoffs, because I felt like this would just expedite the process that I think Pittsburgh needs to go through in order to get to championship contention. But I will never, ever, ever, ever be too mad about beating the Ravens, especially and knocking them out of playoff contention. I'm not going to be mad at it because the Ravens whooped our ass in the playoffs last year so bad. So I'm not mad at it. For a game I really wasn't that invested in, as I started watching it more, the more I was kind of like pulling for us to win. I was like, hold up now. Like, come on, man. Beat these niggas. You know what I'm saying? And by the end of the game, I wanted us to win. Like, when I seen the Ravens kicker miss, oh my goodness, I screamed so loud. I was so excited and so happy. And I got to come in here and kind of change my tune a little bit. I'm pessimistic when it comes to the Steelers. I am, just because it just saves me from disappointment. But I will admit, I am very, especially after like watching them celebrate in the locker room, they're taking the pictures. I will admit I am a lot more proud of this team than I kind of let off. Because, yeah, was this team perfect? Absolutely not. This was not a perfect team. there was things about this team I was excited about going into the year, and then kind of left out the year feeling a little underwhelmed, specifically on the defense. Like when I heard we got Darius Legg and all of these guys and stuff like that, and a lot of these guys kind of really didn't do as much. I'm like, okay, we got DK Metcalf, and yeah, he had a couple moments here and there, but it really wasn't like the year statistically or really just on the field that I really wanted. And he got suspended the last 2 games, which really could have cost us our playoff spot, right? But this was a team that everybody really felt confident in being like, yo, they're not going to be 500. They're not winning division. I know for a fact it's not like that. And I was like, damn, they really ain't giving us much of a chance to really do anything. People were saying we weren't even going to go 500. I'm like, okay, come on now. Like, we at least getting that. You know what I'm saying? So for them to kind of go out there and win a game, and I am a little, like I said, I'm not as high on A-Rod as a lot of other people might be or whatever in terms of like what he's doing for Pittsburgh now. But I have to give credit where credit is due. He played a game that only somebody of his experience and value could have played. You know what I mean? To me, watching him play was just like, hey, we have a big game. This game is going to either continue our season or end it. And for him to kind of take command the way that he did, yeah, was he making the craziest throws known to man? No. But the offense did look good. Yes, a lot of the plays were kind of short passes where, you have to make a couple guys miss to really get some yardage. But at the end of the day, the offense was able to stay on the field. And I think him and his IQ propelled a win and got more out of certain players that maybe wouldn't have got as much because we don't have DK on the field. Calvin Austin scored a game-winning touchdown, bro. Like, that really, to me, is crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's wild because, a lot of these guys that's on the field right now, Adam Thielen, Montez Valdes-Scantling, they don't really get separation like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really kind of been struggling a little bit. But Kenneth Gainwell, thank God we have him. He has been amazing this year. Jaylen Warren, he went out there, he made plays. TJ Watt, gets a huge interception. First game back after the lung injury, which I was concerned about. But it just has me believing in this team a lot more. You know what I mean? Our first round matchup is the Texans, and I'll give my pick on it. But I do feel like, you know what, bro? Like, this team can win a playoff game. This team can win a playoff game for sure. Now granted, is the first round matchup ideal? No. But I mean, the way that Texas offense kind of looks, it's very on and off. And yeah, they have a good defense, but they have a pass rush, and we kind of get the ball out kind of quickly. So I am kind of like, if we can make guys miss in space, I will feel a lot more confident. But unfortunately, we don't have many of those type of guys, and the Texans are a really good tackling team. But I'm going to ride with my guys, man. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Steelers on Monday night to beat the Texans, bro. I think A-Rod, it's a playoff setting. I think he has a lot to play for. I think a good amount of his legacy can be defined in this playoff run, especially if he wins one. And I feel like, he's the most experienced when it comes to playoffs this year. And a lot of these guys are young. Besides Josh Allen, a lot of these guys are playing in a very short amount of playoff games. Trevor Lawrence, I think this is like his third playoff game. Drake May, Bo Nix, I think this is, I don't know if the Broncos made the playoffs last year, but this is Bo Nix maybe first or second playoff game. Herbert, he hasn't had a very good run in the playoffs. He hasn't had many games in there, so it feels like, Aaron Rodgers, especially with CJ Stroud, he's probably the most experienced besides Josh Allen and A-Rod. But he doesn't have the offensive firepower that he once had. The offense kind of struggled a little bit at times. Not as good as an offensive line. So it feels like a very winnable game for Pittsburgh. I'm not saying that, they're going to blow them out. But I like Pittsburgh in that matchup. I think they can get the job done. First game up on Saturday, we got the Rams versus the Panthers. I'm going to go to Rams pretty comfortably on this one. They're a 10.5-point favorite. I'm just not loving Bryce Young in a playoff setting. I really don't know what this is going to look like, but I didn't like the way he played against the Bucs last week, and I think for me that kind of answered a lot of questions of how I feel about Bryce. And yeah, I'll just kind of leave it there. That answers a lot of questions about how I feel about Bryce Young. Packers versus the Bears. I feel like this is the closest game I think we're going to see, at least this weekend. Um, but I'm gonna go Jordan Love in the Packers on this one. I like Jordan Love's experience. The Bears defense to me is not elite, and the Packers lost Micah, but I still feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm not as high on what I think a Caleb Williams first playoff game was going to look like. You know what I mean? I'm not as excited about what that looks like. So I'm gonna go to Packers on this one. Next game up is the Bills versus the Jaguars. I think this game is gonna be fairly close as well. I'm gonna go to Bills here. I just want to trust Josh Allen. I feel like he's the QB that I think has a longer track record of being great. Like I feel like this is Drake May's breakout year. Trevor Lawrence had a really good year. But the type of years they're having now, Josh Allen has done it before. This dude just won the MVP last year. And I feel like, with him being, I think, consistently the best QB in these playoffs, he should get the job done. I know his defense isn't the greatest. He doesn't have the what firepower he once had on offense, even though he had James Cook, who was the NFL's leading rusher. There's still something about it that says you got to get this job done. The Jaguars' weakness in their defense is the secondary. So, your wide receivers aren't going to have the toughest I'm this week, and you should be able to get these guys open and make plays with your legs, whatever. And yeah, I'm gonna choose the Bills on this one. 49ers versus the Eagles. This is kind of tough for me. I did not like what I seen from the 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks at all. I did not like how that looked. But I don't trust the Eagles either. But the 49ers defense is kind of bad. I'm gonna go to home team. I'm gonna go Philly. I think the home team, the home crowd, they might figure something out to get them out the first round. And last but not least, Chargers versus the Patriots. This is a tough one. The Chargers offensive line is god awful. The Patriots, I don't know anything about what's going on with the Stephon Diggs situation. I don't know if he plays or not. I think he's good to play. But the Chargers do have a good defense as well. I'm gonna go New England though. I'm gonna choose the home team. They've been the better. I think they just looked better throughout the duration of the year. I think this is Drake May's MVP year, so I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. And that's it for Wild Card Weekend. I'm excited, man. I think there's gonna be some really good football games. I think even though the Rams are a 10.5-point favorite, I don't know. I at least got a little bit of faith in the Panthers. They could at least make it interesting. I don't know. But in this episode, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give an album recommendation of the week. Since I've been kind of getting into habits or whatever, I kind of been really interested in seeing what the habits of famous people kind of look like, and more like the famous people habits, like people who I'm inspired by, right? Like I looked up what was Kobe's morning routine. What did his day to day look like? You know what I mean? What did Michael Jordan's look like? What did LeBron's look like? What did just a lot of other people, right? And I got to just scrolling on YouTube, and I seen the J. Cole's off-season documentary. And it was funny because, like I said, it's like the phone is listening, I'm telling you. But anyway, I'm watching the documentary, whatever, and the biggest thing that he kind of harped on was just having that daily habit, right? And having, he said he moved back to New York or whatever, lived in his man's crib, like how it was when he was in college, when he was hungry to get that itch back in. He had a daily routine of how he was going to go about writing songs so he can get his pen right and everything like that. And all of this just preparing to drop this album. So I listened to the album and I'm like, damn, for a dude that had habit, routine, whatever, and was just getting 1% better day by day by getting them reps in, that nigga rapping his ass off on the off season. I don't know if I just didn't listen to it enough, but bro, I was listening to the joint. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this nigga is writing his ass off. He rapping and talking crazy on here. So that's my album recommendation, man. Like off season, I think if you want to hear a dude who you can hear the dedication to the craft and the time spent to his craft and getting good and getting better and better and better. And you kind of want to hear that almost on display. I feel like off season is the best thing for that. But that's it for today's episode, man. This was a good one. I ain't gonna lie, this is probably my favorite one that I've recorded. So that's how I feel like I know I'm getting better. But thank you guys for listening. Be on the tune. Be on the lookout for next week's episode. When it's gonna drop on Thursdays. I will catch you guys on the next one, man. Follow me on social media at that xboyxdame, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok maybe. I think that's what it is, but I'll leave it in the description for y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all next week, man. Continue to knock out them goals, bruh. I'm gonna catch you. Peace.